Evening world. It's about 5 minutes to 9 in the evening on Tuesday, the 19th of January 2021. I deliberately waited until this time to do this video because the sun moved into Aquarius about 8 minutes ago, and I didn't want to do a video when the sun was in the last part of 29 degrees of Capricorn. So I waited till late to do this because I'm looking at a horoscope just down here, you can't see it but I can, of midday EST on Wednesday the 20th of January 2021 in Washington DC. As far as I can find out, this is the time when Joe Biden will take the oath and become the next president of the United States of America. And I thought I'd have a good look at this because there's been a lot of contentious stories about the horoscope of the inauguration, and I thought I'd deliberately wait until just before the moment to add my 10 pence worth. Let me just give the basics. The basics of the chart for midday tomorrow in Washington DC EST is that the sun will be in Aquarius, Taurus will be on the ascendant, and the moon will be in Aries. It's worth for those students of astrology to have a look at this chart yourself. I'll deal with the bits that aren't that significant. Neptune and Ceres, the asteroid of nurturing, are in the same degree, 18 degrees of Pisces in the 11th house, with Neptune ruling the 11th house of group, community, friends. And they're sextiled by Venus in Capricorn in the 9th house, the area of foreign travel and higher philosophy, as well as higher education. I take this to suggest that this is representative of Biden's already professed intention to reach out to the international community, to rejoin the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Accord and various other international associations that America has pulled out of in this last 4 years. This is not a big deal. It's not a major thing, and it's not something that's going to upset the world. Venus will be in conjunct with North Node in Gemini. Neptune and Ceres will be square the North Node in Gemini, but this is a minor thing. Also, relatively minor is the position of Mercury in this chart, 18 degrees of Aquarius. It's sure it's already in its Mercury retrograde shadow, but Mercury isn't making difficult aspect to anything in this chart. Yes, it's weakly square the ascendant, trine the North Node, but no big deal. And I don't really pay that much attention to Jupiter in this chart either. Jupiter's in Aquarius at 7 degrees tomorrow, and yes, it's nicely sextile Chiron. It's weakly conjunct Saturn, very strongly square the conjunction of Mars and Uranus. And here's problem number one. In the horoscope for Joe Biden's inauguration, Mars and Uranus are conjunct by about 5 minutes of 1 degree. I have a Mars-Uranus conjunction in my chart. It's crazy. Mars in Taurus is not in its best place. Mars is about the way you physically project and assert yourself, whether it's confrontational and aggressive or whether it's projective and assertive. It's the way you use your physical body, whether that's in warfare or in the bedroom or digging the garden or down the gym or walking the dog. Uranus is the capacity for sudden and unpredictable change. Sometimes for the positive, sometimes for the challenging. Both Mars and Uranus in exactly the same space will be in the 12th house of the inauguration chart, the area of the unconscious, the subconscious, and sometimes seen as the area of secret enemies. And with the square to Jupiter, there is going to be an overstated influence of security precautions at the inauguration, but it's not rocket science to work that one out. But it does suggest that there's likely to be some type of on-the-spot, sudden incident or change of circumstances at the inauguration, which will cause a little bit of panic, but it will prove to be a storm in a teacup, to use an English saying. It will be something that will be overstated and larger than life without any major influence or major outcome, I hope. Much more significantly are the other 4 points in this chart. Firstly, Pluto is on the ascendant. And I need to look at Pluto separately compared to the American chart, because the Pluto return is coming up for America. And with Pluto on the midheaven in the horoscope of the inauguration, it suggests that there are going to be massive changes in policy as a result of this inauguration, and that it is going to shake up many things in America with really big changes coming in, bigger than anyone's currently talking about, in a way that may be quite subversive. Biden is no saint. There's bound to be gossip and innuendo throughout the course of his presidency with this position, and there will be things that he's not dealt with from his past that will come up to trip him up. Obviously, his presidency will be measured against the current incumbents, and a change is as good as a rest. But with Pluto on the midheaven in the inauguration chart, there are going to be some interesting developments as a result of this inauguration. But even this isn't the major factor. There are 2 other really big factors with this chart. Firstly, the Sun will be conjunct Saturn. Only by about 3 degrees, but that's strong enough. In the 10th house, close to, conjunct basically the midheaven. Now, that's why it's set for midday, because the Sun will be overhead. Thing is, this is set for midday. If Biden were to delay the inauguration by, say, half an hour, the Sun would be in the 9th house instead of the 10th, making it much more of a chart to deal with foreign policy and the philosophy behind the presidency rather than the actuality of it. From what I've found out so far, and I may be wrong on this, and perhaps some of my American colleagues can help me with this, Kamala Harris will be sworn in as vice president after Joe Biden. And if she's sworn in, say, more than 15 to 20 minutes after midday, then the Sun and potentially Saturn as well will be in the 9th house, not the 10th, which suggests that the vice presidency, if she's sworn in after 20 past the hour, 20 past midday, that the vice presidency will be more occupied with dealing with America's position abroad, and that Kamala Harris will be much more active in the field of promoting America's philosophies, beliefs and ideals into and onto the rest of the world. And then, at the moment of the inauguration, the moon in the sky will be at 29 degrees of Aries. It will be a void moon. Regardless of circumstance, whenever the moon is void, things that are started on a void moon will not work out the way they are intended. Sometimes it can work out for the better. Most often it doesn't. With the void moon in Aries in the 12th house, about to move into Taurus and then conjunct Mars and Uranus, it suggests to me that this presidency will not achieve as much as it intends to, that there will be blocks and challenges on the way, and that there may actually be some quite big problems. With the Sun conjunct Saturn, with Pluto on the midheaven and with a void moon, I wonder if this will be a full-term presidency. I said the same about Trump, and I did say that Trump would not to see a full term. Looks like I'm going to have to eat humble pie on that one. But at the end of the day, the planets impel, they don't compel. I do my best. I give my best, and sometimes I get it wrong. So for all the trolls out there who want to have a go at me, there's your ammunition, all right? But then, no one's perfect. I do my best. But with this chart, with a void moon, with the Sun conjunct Saturn on the midheaven in the 10th house, it does make me question whether Biden is going to be able to fulfill the total remit of his presidency. Certainly in the next few days, I need to look at the horoscope of Biden and Harris. I've been waiting until the inauguration to do this. But certainly also, the next few days after the inauguration are going to be very, very busy with the change, with all the bills, new bills coming in, the new policies coming in, the impeachment. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in America. Bearing in mind we are already in a Mercury retrograde shadow, I do not expect any permanent outcomes or the dust to settle down until we are out of the Mercury retrograde shadow, which won't basically be until we're into the second week of March, by which time the world's going to be a very different place. Not just because of America, but because of COVID and other things as well. So this is very much a work in progress. I just hope and pray, not that I pray a lot, but I do pray on this one, that tomorrow's inauguration is trouble-free and that there is no attempt at hijacking it in any way that encourages insurrection or violence, because at the end of the day, violence is the answer only for those who aren't intelligent enough to come up with a good question or a good answer. Catch you later, world. But boy, this inauguration chart, it is difficult and it isn't going to work out the way everyone expects. Catch you later. Bye now.